Welcome to MPI's third virtual open house. I'm Kevin Walsh, and I'll be one of your co-hosts. We hope everyone's safe and enjoying some of this beautiful weather in Michigan we're finally getting. We encourage all of you joining us online to submit any questions and comments right here in the Facebook comments section. I'll be co-hosting today's event with Sarah Mahmood, our marketing specialist at MPI, and acting teacher extraordinaire, Scott Norman, who's also an MPI alum. I'm going to let them introduce themselves and their roles here at the school.
Hi, my name is Sarah Mahmood, and I'm the marketing specialist at MPI. I'm really excited to be here because my background is in marketing, advertising. I've done a lot of work in the film space and education spaces, and I'm bringing those two worlds together by helping to tell MPI's story.
Hi, I'm Scott Norman. I'm excited to be talking to you guys today because I, like you a few years ago, was interested in film school and I came here. I have a long history with MPI. I started out about 15 years ago as a volunteer actor helping the film students learn how to film. I later came to the school myself when I was interested in developing my behind the camera work, and afterwards I came on board as one of the acting instructors. So we've got a lot to share with you today, even though we're not on our amazing soundstage to show off a little bit, but we're glad you're here all the same. Here's what we have ahead for today. If you're an actor or if you want to be, today's show has a lot of good stuff for you. We'll be announcing our new MPI Actor Studio workshops. And if you happen to be looking to get some experience soon on camera and you're already an actor, we have a great opportunity for you too. Through June 12th, MPI is having open auditions for our current students' thesis films that they shoot every year in the summertime. We've got some great advice from our local talent agent and MPI instructor Rob Winkworth, who will give you some tips on how to best audition online. We're also going to be traveling around the world a little bit, over to Denmark to meet one of our earliest grads from MPI program, Christophe, who is an accomplished director of film and advertising. And then we'll be coming back to Detroit to meet a more recent MPI grad, Lisa Roberts, who's now a professional editor. In between those chats, we're going to be sharing some pre-recorded discussions with our students and instructors. And MPI's Jeremy Schroeder is going to be doing an unboxing for you of one of our fabulous new cinema cameras, the 6K Red Dragon. Sound good? Okay, let's get started with Sarah sharing the MPI advantage.
So throughout today's session, we're going to be sharing more about these 5 great reasons to attend MPI, which include the fact that we have both online and on-set experiences. There's comfort during these unsure times of a 1-year program with both morning and evening classes. We offer an affordable tuition with many different financing options, and our program is newly accredited. Here's a quick video that covers many of the MPI advantages, including some clips of our online instruction.
Greetings from the Motion Picture Institute. We sincerely appreciate you visiting us while the country works together through these challenging times. If you're an aspiring filmmaker or a parent of one, you might want to take a moment to consider your plans for the coming fall. Here are some reasons to consider the Motion Picture Institute's comprehensive 1-year training program. MPI's intimate class sizes and close proximity make it a film school in your own backyard. This can be a comforting option for college in uncertain times. When you compare us to other schools, MPI is one of the most affordable accredited institutions in the country. MPI has been training and launching careers in the movie industry for over 20 years, and our graduates are working all over the world, from here in Michigan to Georgia, Los Angeles, New York, Denmark, and just about anywhere movies are made. So when things get back to normal, you could be armed with an MPI education and ready to start your career. Visit us online to fill out an application and arrange for your own private tour. MPI, a film school close to home.
On May 17th, just before the state of Michigan authorized its stay-at-home policy, we here at MPI made the decision to quickly move our classes online and rearrange our curriculum and even some courses. We knew that, that by doing this, students would be ready to be back on set, but still get maximum impact of what can be taught through a distance learning atmosphere. So our students really appreciated the chance to not only put their classes on hold and continue their progress towards graduation this fall. So as stay-at-home restrictions are eased and groups can gather in small numbers while maintaining safe social distancing and sanitation practices, we're going to continue to offer students a blended learning atmosphere. Scott's going to tell you a little bit about MPI's leadership team next.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. So, over 20 years ago, MPI was founded by our CEO and president, Doug Schultz, and our CFO, Kurt Mary, who started the school after having a successful partnership in independent filmmaking and based the education on lessons that they learned along the way. We also welcome Catherine McDermott, former VP of production at Columbia Pictures, who now heads MPI's successful career services department, which offers entry-level and departmental opportunities. Those are the jobs that become the important stepping stones to a film career. And welcome also to Jeremy Schroeder, MPI's technology manager and guru of all things grip and camera. Jeremy has an impressive background in production with over 10 years in New York, including working on Law & Order. Each one of these MPI leaders is also a veteran teacher. The small size of our classes, which is just 24 students in each, makes this a real tight-knit family. And by the end of your one-year program, you have an amazing support system. It's a benefit you can only get from a school this size. And now they'll be joining us on this Facebook Live event, and they can answer any of the questions that you put in the comments section. So we've also got, as I mentioned earlier, we have some exciting news for those of you who are interested in being in front of the camera. As an acting instructor, I was very excited to be a part of helping to design our new courses for a cool new series of workshops for those of you interested in acting for the camera. Here's Kevin, who is joined by Doug, Kurt, and Catherine talking about the program.
All right, we have some very exciting news and some special guests today, and I am so happy to have with us the brain trust of the academic side of Motion Picture Institute, as well as two of its founders. So I'm going to let each one of them introduce themselves, and I'll start out with Doug.
I'm Douglas Schultz. I'm the president and CEO of the Motion Picture Institute.
Yeah, I'm Kurt Mary. I am the Chief Financial Officer and Director of Education at Motion Picture Institute.
I'm Catherine McDermott, and I am Career Services at Motion Picture Institute.
So, Doug, we got some exciting news. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Kevin. Well, this year, MPI is proud to announce the launch of a series of acting-centric workshops. These have been curated by working industry film professionals, and we call these workshops the Motion Picture Actors Studio. Filmmakers, educators, and actors have come together to design and launch the next evolution in film acting education. These cutting-edge workshops take place on spacious and well-ventilated sound stages inside an active movie studio environment.
So yeah, especially the key word is spacious. Can you talk a little bit about what MPI's got to offer that a lot of places don't have?
Yeah, sure. Gosh, we've been a film trade school. Everybody knows us in that vein for over 20 years now. And as part of our curriculum, we have very sizable and spacious sound stages, over 6,000 square feet. And our education is done mostly on set. And these stages are ideal for, spacious classes, in this day when safety has become a bit of a concern, ventilation and social distancing. All of that is sort of natural and part of our ongoing curriculum.
The cool thing about these three that are with me today is they're all instructors as well. And Doug, you teach directing, but you've kind of made the link quite often. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about how somebody who's interested in acting, maybe a veteran actor, or even somebody who's just starting, what's the appeal of film acting and the training, and how is that kind of different than traditional acting?
Yeah, sure. Well, specifically, at the Motion Picture Institute, one of the big draws for actors is the synergy that exists at the school. Imagine going to school daily alongside 50 aspiring filmmakers that happen to be in need of actors. It's a wonderful sort of symbiotic relationship that naturally called for something like the Actors Studio.
All right, so Doug and Kurt, you guys have been working with Catherine with the Accreditation Bureau, and that is the big news of the year, of course. But also, can you talk a little bit about the rollout of this? How is it different than our production program or even the acting program in the past?
Kind of as Doug pointed out, we're a film school. And that's what our mainstay is. That's what we've been known for. But the facilities that we have here, the environment that we have here, contribute to the overall experience a student has when they come here to try out acting. We've developed 4 individual workshops that any actor that wants to try their hand at film acting can take. They're offered throughout the year. We haven't produced a schedule yet for them. That's coming out probably in the next week or 2. They'll be on our website. So students who come in with some experience certainly can go into any one of those 3, or if someone is just starting out, there's definitely the beginner level one they would probably want to try out.
So Catherine, in your experience working with all the students that are both actors and producers and production teams, what do you say is the great advantage that MPI can offer the actor?
Working with directors. Directors need to direct and actors need to act. And that's that synergy that Doug talked about is hugely important. They learn a lot of behind the scenes things that normally actors aren't exposed to. What the crew does, the functions, how they work with actors, why they're there, lighting and how it affects the actor. They learn set etiquette. All of those things are important to the process of acting. It's such a confidence builder when you're working on a professional set with professional people, but they're telling you why they're doing things. So it's a huge learning experience, and it's great fun. And you learn a lot from people who take the time to explain to you the whys. So you don't go on to a set and you just focus on what you're doing. You know what other people are doing and why they're there for you. The actor in front of the camera. We have a bunch of directors who want to direct actors, and we put them in front of the camera. And like I said, it's a confidence builder, and they learn an awful lot by doing. And we play it back for them, so they see themselves, and they can critique it. And we've got very good instructors who will critique their performance, and it's improve. So it's a wonderful program.
Yeah, thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll stay tuned for more information.
If you're in Michigan, just a few months ago, you may have seriously been looking at out-of-state colleges, but things have changed drastically, as we all know. Local colleges have always been a popular and affordable option, especially if you need to be near your family. But now you may also be deciding, as things remain uncertain, to keep things affordable and closer to home. MPI can work with your schedule, especially if you've got a day or night job, because we offer sessions in the morning and in the evening as well. And it's just a short drive away, which makes things even better. Now we're going to leave Michigan and head over to Denmark with an extremely talented director who graduated from MPI in 2000. Here's Kevin with Christophe.
All right, we have a special guest today all the way from Denmark. We have Christophe Dolcerocca. And he is a director and a filmmaker. And Christophe, I apologize if I didn't get your name right, but
it was perfect. Thank you.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Hey, can you tell us your story? How did you end up at MPI?
I just remembered at the time it was around a year after high school, and I already knew that I wanted to do something with film, and I really wanted to direct, I guess, because I just loved movies and I thought I want to make those. So how do you do that? So I remember, and I wanted to go to America because that was sort of always a dream. All the movies that I watched came from there, And then, and I had a certain amount of money, which wasn't much. And I knew that, like, going away for a long time is pricey. And I was looking at the different things that I could find on the internet, which was still kind of new. It was 20 years ago. This was in 2000. So I just found this course in Detroit, Michigan, quite randomly. I don't remember how, but I ended up there, and it was 1 year long, and it was very hands-on. All the practical stuff about filmmaking. How do you actually go out and do it? And it was 1 year, and I could afford it. And then I was like, sent in an application, and I got in, and I said, okay, then that's what I'm supposed to do. Looking back, it was quite random in a way, but it was So that's how that happened, and there's definitely the hands-on stuff that appealed to me. All the sort of theoretic and his film history, or more in-depth aesthetic and theory in general. I knew that I could study that on my own or later on elsewhere. I just really wanted to learn how to do it right here, right now, physically, practically.
All right. Well, can you tell us what's your day job? What are you doing these days?
After 20 years, I think it's safe to say now that I live and work as a director, and have been doing so for a few years. Commercial director mainly.
We're going to take a quick look at your reel, if you don't mind. Is that all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello. This call may be recorded for quality assurance.
10, 9. Seven, 6, 5.
So there's some just gorgeous photography there, and looks like some pretty exotic locations and everything. Could you talk a little bit about how you got started with some of these big name clients, and how do you grow that relationship?
So coming out of MPI, I was definitely focused on telling stories, making fiction, feature films, and I did a few short films, and I just realized it's really hard. And so I decided, like, I don't want to be a starving artist. I need to make some money. I need to work, and I don't feel like I wanted to do something with film, and not like have a day job sort of. And so commercials. It dawned on me, this should be possible, maybe, hopefully, to make some money doing that. And I tried to make some dummy commercials, some spec commercials, and try to look at what was around and what appealed to me. And I realized when I did a few of those that, they were good, but it was also me trying to do what other people were doing. And so then I had a different approach for a few years, because I realized, it's, even if it is commercial stuff, and you still have to be really damn good in order for someone to hire you to do it. So I actually made quite a few music videos, because budget's super small and it's way more artistic and experimental, but I had more sort of creative freedom and saying in creating these music videos, and then I sort of tried to design the concept and the visuals in a way that I felt like was more personal. It was less intellectual, and it was more like me doing what I like to do, what I thought was cool or appealing or whatever. And after doing, quite a few music videos, sort of a pattern emerged in visuals, and I was looking at them, and I was like, okay, I see myself, I see my style. So instead of trying to think my way into what was me and trying to look at what other people were doing and do something similar, all of a sudden through the music videos it showed me like what I'm actually good at, or what like comes close to me, and that I believe is sort of key if you want to be really good and successful at something, is that you can find something that is commercially viable but still is close to who you are and what you truly feel for. And then another thing, which is quite a unique maybe thing, I don't know how many people have done it, but then I always made sure to make a contract and on paper with the artists that I work with that I could take raw material that we shot for the video and edit it to something else that I could use on my own show reel. Cool. And then I actually, I never really involved them in how much I was plotting into making their music video into my spec or dummy commercial, but that's what I did. So I did these music videos and I cut it together and made small fake commercials, so to speak, small like 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds visuals, and then I sort of put a product in there and made it look like something that was a commercial, even though it was fake or a dummy. And then after a while, I had a few of those on my website, and that's how I think I started to attracting. And I was also raising the flag different places that a commercial director, and so that's sort of how it started, and it evolved from there.
So for these students that are just finishing up, and we've got other students that we're getting on board that are ready to start this fall, what would be your top advice you would have for them?
I think I have two advices, and one would be if MPI teaches you a lot, like all the practicalities and a lot of theoretical stuff, and now you know how to make a movie, but the main question should be really like, what is it that you want to say? What is it that you want to make a film about? And it needs to be personal, in some way. You need to sort of figure out what it is that you as an individual, as a person, has to offer to the world somehow. That's definitely one advice, and that's actually the same answer but with a different angle. The other thing would be to maybe be open up to other genres of filmmaking, like within the commercial realm, because there's so many things that needs to be made every day, everywhere, but the answer is sort of the same. Try to figure out what it is that you're good at, or what it is that you like, and what it is that's sort of unique for you and your own inspiration, and figure out a way to bridge that and something that's commercially viable.
It's so often, like you said, being open to what may just land in your lap sometimes, or you may be.
And it will most likely and should take time. You can't rush these things, so you have to try certain things. You really different things. You really do. And also another advice would probably be, like, if you are going for telling fiction, I feel like there's also a pattern that everyone wants to make the big, wide, long format right away. And I just feel like, you start making a 5-minute movie. Mm-hmm. See how good it, if you can make a really good one, if it didn't work out the first time, try another one, make another one. And if that turned out good, maybe do a 10-minute or a 15-minute one. If you can make a 15 good minute short film, you know, that's actually, you know, a lot can be told in 15 minutes. And then maybe you're ready for 30. And, you know, it's like, build it from there, because in that process, you sort of learn to be really good at what it is that you're good at. And you need to, and you figure out what it is that you want to tell, and, you know, what your way of working. And so you naturally become ready for the long format.
Yeah, as a former literature teacher, I can tell you, you know, we always say, when in doubt, leave it out. And you're better off with a strong short story than a mediocre novel. And
yeah, definitely.
I love your angle, and I really appreciate, I know you've been super busy, and I'm really glad we could take care of this. And I think a lot of our students and our prospective students and our general audience is going to take a lot from what you had to say here.
Glad.
So Christophe, thank you so much. And it's a pleasure to have you here, and we can't wait to see you. Say you got a new reel coming up, huh?
Yes, I've been busy for a while, so I'm looking forward to update the reel you've just watched.
Yeah, I've talked to a lot of people who say, oh, I got to update my reel, but I've been so busy. I always go, well, that's a good thing, isn't it? They say, yes, it is. All right, well, have a great day. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And it was really nice to meet you. And please send my good wishes to Doug and Kurt and the rest of the staff at MPI. It was a really good time with you guys, for real. All
right, cool. Well, hopefully next time you're in town, you can come by and see the new facilities, since you were there.
I would love that. I would love that. Maybe even making a movie one day.
That's right. That'd be great.
Thanks, Kevin. So as Christophe discovered, and when he was checking out film programs across the globe, what really opens the door for you in the film industry is your body of work and your actual hands-on experience with professional equipment. Now, MPI's concentrated one-year program gives you that experience through access to all the main production departments. You have lighting, sound, camera, script supervision, editing, pre-production, post-production. And it all begins not in like your junior year or months down the line, but in your very first week of class. So here's a look at this year's students on just day number 3 with one of Christophe's favorite instructors, Rob Skates.
My name is Rob Skates. I teach cinematography, and I also am the camera department instructor for our Production 1 class, which we just wrapped up. Well, I think the big hook and sort of the thing that makes Production Lab class so interesting is the hands-on environment.
All right, so now we're checking our levels. Levels should sound good.
Pretty much from the first day, students will have a sense of what it's like to be on set. And if you haven't been on a set before, it can be a little bit overwhelming. What we do is we separate into camera, lighting, script continuity, and sound. And we spend 2 hours getting instruction in those departments, and then 2 hours on set. So pretty much after our first day here, I think you can go on a set anywhere, and I'm not saying you can jump in and start doing the work, but I think you can get a pretty good sense of what's happening with the different departments.
Today, I'm joined with an All-Star alum. Her name is Lisa Roberts, and she is an editor. Lisa, can you tell us just a little bit about how you got started, what made you want to pursue editing, and then what do you do right now?
Yeah, hi. So I mean, I've known about editing since I was a little kid. My dad was in the business. So I grew up with all of our home videos being edited and having takes and having to redo things just as a kid in our day-to-day life, shooting home videos. And then as I got older, I realized that my complete favorite part of making movies and videos was putting it all together at the end and being at the computer editing it. So that has been going on since I was a little kid. And then after MPI, I got a job at a local post house and did that for a while here in Ferndale. And then I'm currently freelancing around, doing a lot of commercial work. I've done a couple short films and a couple shorter format pieces. So that is where I'm at today.
What types of clients do you work on typically?
It's a lot of commercial work. So a lot of car stuff is primarily what I've been doing here since we're in Detroit.
And then tell us a little bit more about like how you got to the skill level that you have today.
Yeah, so like I said, I started when I was pretty young, and I went to Michigan State and did a little bit of it there, but completely switched majors and found my way back to the film world through MPI. And that's really where I got back into editing and like what softwares were being used, because I just had something at home that was just something I could afford and practice on. And so I really honed my skills there, just in class, working on projects and then working on the student thesis film, which was so much fun, working with a director and sitting, and you weren't the only one who got to make the decisions on the cuts. You had to work with someone. So that was really good practice for the real world. And then just, you know, practicing at home, working on whatever I can find, editing my own home movies or vacation videos was always really helpful too.
What advice do you have for people who are watching this and they're saying, wow, that actually sounds interesting. I might be an editor one day. How can they kind of find their way and set themselves up for success?
Definitely just practice. Anything you can. I know to practice editing is a little harder because you need footage, but everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have iPhones now or any kind of video phone, smartphone that you can film on. There's plenty of stuff on the internet that you can download to practice with. And then networking is really important too, and just talking to as many people as you can and learning as much as you can and really just building a network of people to learn from, I think is really important.
Do you find that networking beyond collaborating with people to create work also helps in like landing clients and getting new business too?
Definitely, yeah. I think if you meet people, stay in touch with them because they'll have a project come along, and if you guys enjoyed working together, if you worked well together, that, sorry, my dog's barking.
That's okay.
I think that building that network is important because if you were working well with somebody, they might come back with their own project and want to have you work with them again. So I think it's really important.
And then what is it like working alongside like a director? You have, you know, those editing powers, right, to bring the picture to life in post-production, but can you describe that relationship a little bit and what that looks like when you're working with someone?
Yeah, it's very different than when you just have your own project that you want to cut together. I think it's important to practice working alongside someone. It can be a fine line where you need to be comfortable giving your opinion on what you think is right, but also being open to trying the director's ideas, since ultimately it's kind of their vision. But I think it's important to also give your opinion, and a lot of times I'll try it two ways. I'll do something the way that they want to see, and then I'll say, but also here's something else to look at, and if they don't like it, that's fine, and we can talk about the best way to put something together.
Cool. I think that sounds like a solid way to go. Is there anything else you can think of that might be, you know, cool for people who are considering editing right now, whether they're thinking about going to film school or just exploring careers in general?
I think, definitely check out MPI. It was a very good experience because of how quickly it was hands-on. There's a lot of schools that it takes a very long time to get to the point where you're actually in the field working. That for me was really big because I think I learned things better by doing rather than sitting and hearing about it. And then just get your hands on some footage and practice putting stuff together. I think that ultimately is the most important thing.
I think that's a great piece of advice. And you also have a demo, right, of something that you're going to show people today. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so basically I thought it'd be interesting because so many people have smartphones and they take video on vacation or at events and stuff. I thought it'd be interesting to just see how you can jazz up your own home videos and stuff like that without a professional camera and without takes and stuff and things like that. So I thought it'd be interesting to see how that can work.
That does sound really cool. Let's take a look.
A lot of us have smartphones that we are taking videos with, maybe on vacation or maybe for birthday parties or some event that we kind of want to put together and make it look, just jazz it up a little bit. So it's a kind of a special memory after you have it. And I think that when I make these kind of travel videos, I like to do montages because I don't want to sit through a huge long piece. I want to see something quick that makes me remember my trip and takes me back. This is a big one. I think a lot of us forget or don't know or have somebody else is taking the video and we forget to shoot it horizontally and we end up with vertical videos like this one. And there's so many different creative ways that you can put this into your video. And I'm going to show you a couple right here. So I'm going to add this right into my video. I'm going to just put the whole thing in, and I don't want the audio, so I'm just going to drag it down. And I'm going to scale it down so that it's the correct size there. Whoops, there we go. And right off the bat, I mean, this looks good just with the black right there. Maybe you put some text on the sides. Maybe you put some still photos on the sides. I happen to have a couple more vertical videos, so I am going to put them all together. So I have this shot of a sunset cruise, and I'm going to once again just take the video part, and I'm going to just drag it on top of my first shot. And I'm going to trim it so they're the same size. And it's obviously covered up that first shot I had. That's okay. So I'm going to scale it down, and then I'm going to take my position right here and I'm going to scooch it over. I happen to have a third vertical video, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to drag it right on top. So now you have this really cool 3-tiered view. There's a lot going on. If I was doing this for real, I might have these all related somehow, which they kind of are. You have the sunset and the sunset cruise. And I went another step and I took a picture using this export frame button. And I brought it into Photoshop and I made a little mat like this that I can just plop on top. And I've moved it since, but if you don't move your images after, it'll line up perfectly. So I'm going to just shift these a little bit so that it matches up, and it kind of gives it a little bit of a finished look. And there's so many different mats you could use. You could do a whole bunch of little squares. You could do all different kinds of things. So that was one way to use our vertical video. Another thing you can do is play around with the color of all the clips so that they tie together a little bit better. So I go to do this, I go into my effects and I use the Lumetri color corrector. I drop that on there. You go in your effects controls, and this is where you really can just play. So that's before and that's after. It's subtle, but it helps it out. It's really fun being able to make your own vacation videos or event videos because it's totally up to you. You have total creative control, and it's something really fun to look back on. So just the most important thing is just to have fun, experiment. It's a great way to learn and to get better and practice your craft.
How do you think differently now that you kind of mastered like the editing world and you're in it essentially full time, right?
I am. I feel like a lot of times I can't turn it off. Like when I'm reading, I'll see it. I mean, everyone visualizes when they read, but I see it in different angles or when we're gonna switch viewpoints, and sometimes my dreams are edited, so you can't really turn it off. It's kind of a way of life.
That just goes to show how passionate you are, and thank you for sharing your enthusiasm with the crowd today. We're so thankful to have you here.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This has been great.
My first film was called A Girl Walks Into a Bar, and it was basically based on some things that I experienced when I worked at a restaurant and bar this summer. I think it went really well. I'm a nervous person, so the whole time I was convinced that something was going to go really wrong. My crew was really great, and my cast, I had one guy that I went to college with. He drove about 5 hours the night before to come and not star, but be one of the main characters, so it went really well. I'm 23, so when I graduated from college, I was a history major, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew I didn't want to teach. January or February of 2019 that I finally decided that I wanted to do something on the film track, and I applied and I got in, and it was one of the best things I've ever done.
So we have a few other changes going on this year, which actually are kind of exciting. Part of the problem with the COVID spread and everyone being in lockdown is that we can't gather like we used to. And usually this time of the year, we have this huge open auditions for our current students who are seeking actors to use in their thesis films. So this year we're doing a little bit differently.
This year, we're giving things a try online, and even if you've never auditioned before, the steps are easy. Go to our events page and click on the link to check out our students' thesis films.
Once you get to that page, you'll see a list of the films and the characters. So what you do is you find a character that interests you, click on the audition sides link to look at the script and review any notes that are necessary, and then record your audition with your own camera.
Then you can complete our easy form, and this is going to allow you to upload your headshot, your resume, your audition, and even a character slate.
It's very, very convenient. Now, if you're like me and this whole self-recording and self-submission stuff bothers you a little bit, or even if you're new, I have something very special for you next. I was able to talk to my colleague, who's also an MPI acting instructor and a local talent agent, Rob Winkworth, who has some great tips for actors submitting online auditions. Just for everybody who's watching, I'm here with my colleague and my agent, Rob Winkworth, to talk a little bit about submissions in the time of COVID-19. This is something that people have been doing for a while now, but I think it's more prevalent now that we can't get out. But it's recording ourselves for auditions and submitting. How important has it been in the past to do so compared to now? Has it been something people regularly did, and how well is it taken?
Sure, the self-submission process has definitely kind of become increasingly important over the last 10 years by far. I would say at the I Group, most of our commercial auditions and industrial auditions, we see about 30% to 40% being self-submissions, and then film and TV to a much higher percentage, as much as possible. Mostly through programs like Actors Access and things like that. That is where most self-submissions are happening. It is a very important skill, and I think just also now that COVID is happening, most of our auditions are going to happen in this world, and most of callbacks are going to happen in this world. So being able to create the right environment for your audition and to be able to Zoom in that environment too is going to be an important part.
Yeah, you say it's a skill. Now, I think that's an important thing to understand. It's something that's a little bit different than auditioning in person. I've always hated having to do it myself at home, and I would always come to your office to record when I could, mainly because I was uncomfortable. what advice would you give to actors who are just starting out with it, maybe even those who've done it before, on what this skill entails? How is it different doing it at home than it is coming in and auditioning?
One of the most important thing I think to remember is that the people that are watching and evaluating your audition spend their entire lives, most of the time, watching film and video. That's how they make a living. And so they're very sensitive to things like lighting and sound and other distractions that we might kind of just take for granted and not really worry about. Producers and directors stress about those things. And so when we do a self-submission video that isn't considerate of their kind of artistic sensibilities, that's one of the first things that's a big deal. So like, just keeping that in mind, that making sure that I'm self-submitting with good sound and good lighting really does make a big difference.
Let's talk about the tech. What are the things that actors are most uncomfortable with about the tech? You talked about lighting and sound, camera. What are things that we need to get more comfortable with?
Yeah, definitely those two elements. And probably the element that happens before that is just stabilization, like having good, whatever it is, surfaces to prop your computers on, or having a tripod to put your phone on, or whatever it is. Like some simple thing like that can make a world of difference just in your ability to control it and in your comfort level. So that level of investment makes a big deal. Understanding, just basic lighting techniques, making sure you have at least one, maybe a primary light and then a secondary light, so you can have at least two lights on your face to kind of make sure that you're seen in screen. Those things make a big difference. It doesn't need to be anything fancy. I use, and I have one right here, when I got to do, this is like from my basement, or costs $5 at Ace Hardware, and it's a perfectly good way of adding light to a scene that you can kind of clip in space and have that main light and that secondary light on you. And if you put a little piece of paper over it or something like that, it acts as a filter and it reduces the light. You can do plenty of that and improve the lighting that happens. In film, for self-submissions, you can also affect that a little bit and let there be some shadow, let there be a little drama to it, but it is really important that we see your full face. You're obviously getting chosen for look, so that good lighting that allows production and the director to see your full face and how it's featured is very important. And then with sound, that's another aspect to it, is just making sure that it's good and having good proximity to the camera. In a self-submission for film, you're typically going to be shooting chest up, or maybe even shoulders up. It's going to be pretty tight framing, so your face will be pretty close to camera, or you should allow it to be pretty close to camera so that it picks up the sound very well. I don't want to be distant and zoom in, because then the intimacy of my voice isn't as strong. I want to make sure that it's there. My reader should also be in decent proximity to the camera. If I'm eyelining straight to camera right now when I do a film submission, my eyeline should be just a little bit off the center of the camera as I do the read. And my reader should be in pretty good proximity to my eyeline, ideally, so that the camera picks up the audio just as well as it picks up my audio. Typically, the intimacy of what's going on. Most self-submission film scripts, particularly, are two people dialogue in some close proximity. So we want to get the sense that that's going on in the scene. So sometimes having just, using your phone or using your computer is good enough sound for that. There are also like just little extended, like telescoping microphones or even lavalier microphones that plug in pretty easily that can improve the sound experience. But they certainly aren't necessary. And on the other side of that, they aren't very expensive either. There's lots of options out there that exist to kind of improve those two things.
You also talked about creating an environment that we're comfortable in. Mainly, you mentioned the people that we're reading with, as well as the light. What are the things that you find most distracting, or the things that make you want to just skip on to the next audition when you're watching videos?
Right. For film, it should really be something that is just pretty simple. You want a a plain wall with nothing on it is totally fine. It doesn't need to be like a fancy screen. It doesn't need to be like a blue screen, or it doesn't have to have, but it should be simple. I wouldn't want someone to be distracted by what is behind me. I want them just to be focusing on my face and my expressions and what I'm conveying through that moment. This is just kind of the setup that I have in my basement for if I was going to be doing just basic self-submission for something. You can see I have 2 lights that are set up. They're kind of propped on the ceiling. I have a little tripod that I've even put on an ironing board to make sure it's at a good height, because I want the camera to be as straight into my face as possible. I kind of want to eliminate any angle that's just unnecessary that's there. This little bit of lighting, it helps create just the right amount. It also gets rid of the shadow behind me. That's me from the camera. And that's decent for self-submission. It's not, the world's greatest scenario, but it works. Another piece that's just important is like this kind of eyeline that I have right now in my self-submission is great. I don't want my eyeline to go too much farther to the side. I'm not looking right into camera. I'm a little bit off camera, but I can see both eyes clearly. I can see my face clearly, and I can see clearly whatever emotion that I have going on. The more and more I turn away from camera, the worse it just really gets for impact.
What are the most common complaints you get maybe from producer directors, or questions that you get from actors that might help us to tweak those things, make me heard, make me seen?
Right. I mean, the biggest complaints I get are lighting and sound. I mean, that's by far the most consistent thing.
All right.
That people are concerned about, that producers or directors simply just can't get past things. From actors, it's often just, what is everybody worrying about? Like, that's the other side of it. It's just kind of like the question you're asking me. What are directors and producers worried about? I think what I see the biggest step coming forward is that personality element, that allowing your personality to shine through, allowing yourself to shine through, even when you have this kind of intense, very small space. They're only evaluating you based on, these kind of technical things that you've done. How do I let myself kind of come through, and how do I let production get comfortable with who I am? And I think production and direction is going to be concerned about that too. Most producers and directors like to do callbacks. They like to meet people before they make final decisions, because that's a very impactful moment. They get to really feel the personality of the person they're going to work with. So when you aren't going to have that, how do you convey those things? I think a good slate where you state your name and your height, and you do so with some personality, even if it's like really simple and just those 2 little bits of information, can really make a big difference if you're comfortable and you're kind of having some fun, or allowing your personality to come forward with that slate. Lets them see you just as you are, and it gives that other insight into you that won't necessarily be available through, since it's not in person.
Hi, I'm Rob Winkworth. I'm 6'1". This is me without my glasses.
All right. Well, thanks. Well, that was really helpful. I think I hope that a lot of people will get something out of that. I know I did. So I really appreciate you taking the time with us today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in class again once all of this is out of our way. Good talk.
Absolutely. It's my pleasure, Scott. I hope it helps.
All right. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Schroeder. I'm the technology manager here at MPI. I'm also an instructor, and today we're going to take a look at one of our brand new red 6K Dragons, which we just got. This is the latest member to our lineup of characters in our camera department, so let's open the box and see what we got. All right. Okay. So right out of the box, we can see it doesn't really look too much like a cinema camera. Doesn't have a whole lot to it. Has a start-stop button, but that's about it. Doesn't even have a place to put a battery. So in order to turn this box into a functioning cinema camera, we have to do a little work. So I'm gonna go get some parts and we'll put her together, okay? All right, here we go. So all these parts came together to give us a functioning 6K cinema camera, but it still leaves us with the most important step of all, which is what do we do with it? And that's the part that's totally up to you. Thanks for watching. Good luck.
We couldn't be more proud to announce that we're accredited by the Accrediting Commission of Career Schools and Colleges, the ACCSC. And if you compare our tuition to other traditional four-year programs, along with some other film schools, you'll get a real idea of the value of an education here at MPI. Also, we offer custom financing plans that are catered to fit your budget and your financial needs.
Hey, we want to thank you all for joining us tonight.
And we're going to wrap things up with 3 easy steps towards starting your film career with classes that start this September.
Whether you're finishing high school, switching careers, or looking for an exciting gap year opportunity, follow these 3 easy steps to begin your journey in the motion picture production industry at MPI. First, even before you apply, we encourage you to take MPI's 3-minute Career Readiness Quiz. It's a fun and engaging way to see how your goals, experiences, and interests align themselves with careers in the film industry. Next, you can schedule a virtual visit. Our team is ready to answer your questions, share our facilities and student projects, and you can even chat with some of our alumni and faculty. When you're ready, you can begin the process by filling out our quick and easy online film program application. Once submitted, we'll get back to you right away, and we'll be there to assist you through the rest of the application process. Sound good? We at MPI can't wait to see you online, on set, and on track toward your exciting career in film.